All right. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm glad to hear that you guys are actually still awake. My name is Theo Ngongong. I'm the Deputy Director here at Baltimore City Department of Transportation. Can you hear me well, ma'am? You good? All right. So I will introduce myself. My name again is Theo Ngongong. You'll see me a little bit tonight. I'm probably going to try to be the unofficial MC for the evening. Thank you for being here. Extremely important step for us in our process. The first order of business is really to thank our host tonight, UMMC, and her president, if she's around, if she could please come up here and introduce Brown.
Thank you so much. My name is Allison Brown. I'm the president of the hospital here at the University of Maryland Medical Center Midtown campus. We are really pleased to host the City Department of Transportation for this really important conversation about the highway to nowhere that you have all experienced for 50 years. And here at the Midtown campus, we are we want to engage with you in a safe place to express concerns, to share ideas, and to know that this is a forum where your voices and interests can be heard. I have to say, as the president of a hospital and having begun my career as a nurse, that I can't miss the opportunity to also say that we are here in this tower providing primary care services, cardiology, sleep, GI, pediatric diabetes, hypertension. So we have an array of healthcare services here on this campus. There's some information outside. I'd be remiss if I didn't say we would love to be your partners in your health. And right across the hall is our Community Health Education Center, which is a free resource to the community for all kinds of health screenings, testing, resources that might be available to you, your friends, your neighbors. So spread the word. And I am pleased to be here. Thank you. We hope to be an important part of this community. And this is a community space. So we're really pleased to be able to have this event here tonight. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you so much. I'll be remiss if I didn't thank the folks also joining us via WebEx, joining us online. Thank you all for coming. This will be an interactive session, so you'll have your turn. Thank you so much. It is now my time to introduce to you our director, Ms. Corinne Johnson, if you please want to come up.
Didn't realize I wasn't going to be standing there. I was going to handle the mic and my child.
I'm sorry.
So it's okay. I didn't know. I can go on the fly. So hello, everyone. Like Theo said, my name is Corinne Johnson, and I'm the interim director for the Baltimore City Department of Transportation. And I got a chance to walk around and see some of you all this evening, but I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for those that are seeing us online to join us. This is a monumentous day, a time for us, an opportunity for us to come together. And we're here today to start this listening session. We know that now is the time for catalytic investment in this community, a community that is majority Black, that has disproportionately borne the burden of inequitable infrastructure investments of the past. A planning study, in addition to a project of this magnitude, requires a coordinated effort to secure funding and support at all levels. Coordination and collaboration from local government agencies and an inclusive community organizing effort will make a difference in winning this grant, this award for Baltimore, and positively changing the way plans that impact the lives of Baltimoreans are made. Excuse me. It is very clear in our communications with all of our stakeholders that this project is a high priority for the Maryland congressional delegation. In fact, we have representation here this evening from Congressman Nfume's office. We have Councilman Torrance, we have Councilman Costello here. So from a congressional standpoint, from a local state standpoint, we are all joined in this effort to make some changes. And this just shows how strong this application is for Baltimore. Yeah, sorry, thank you. All right. Transportation and urban renewal projects of the mid-20th century and the development practices of past resulted in the devastation of majority Black Baltimore neighborhoods. And the construction of the US 40 Expressway through West Baltimore in the 1970s caused significant displacement of families, and the impacts of these wounds have been endured for decades, for way too long. To move toward healing, we must address the damage done, and to do this, inclusivity will be the foundation for confronting and mitigating the historic inequities in this planning effort. We are here because it is our desire, our mission, our responsibility to work with residents to envision what reconnecting West Baltimore means now. So at this time, I will turn it back over to Theo. But again, I just wanted you to know that this is paramount for us. We know that no words can express or touch what has been done in the past. But I hope that our presence, our collective presence from DOT and from all the legislature representatives here tonight shows how important this is, how important you all are, and that we want to come together in partnership with the community to right this wrong. Theo.
Thank you so much, Director Johnson. And like Director Johnson said, again, we are also here tonight to give a little sense of where we are in the process. And you will hear from our grant manager in a few seconds. I also want to make sure that you understand that this job, meaning the grant application and eventually the fact that we hope to win, is going to be built upon previous studies, previous engagement, previous efforts that have been done in and around the west side of the city. So we're not starting from scratch. Everybody knows that, but I want to reemphasize the fact that this is really not something that we are starting from scratch as a study. Before I bring up our grant manager here, Cindy Kimbrough, I'd like to give the mic for a minute or two to our elected officials that are here tonight, starting with Councilman Costello, and then I'll give the floor to Councilman Thomas.
Thank you very much, Theo. First, I want to thank Dr. Brown and her team at the University of Maryland Medical Center. They do provide absolutely world-class healthcare right here in the heart of West Baltimore, but more importantly, even more importantly than that, they have been incredible community partners along with University of Maryland Medical Center downtown campus to the communities of West Baltimore. So thank you. I want to take a moment to acknowledge Anthony Jones from Congressman Kwesi Mfume's office. Congressman Mfume, along with Senators Cardin and Senator Van Hollen, were instrumental in getting the Reconnecting Communities Act passed, but not for this grant opportunity would not be available to us. And finally, it goes without saying the negative damage that urban renewal in the 1960s caused, and in many cases that's not quantifiable. Thankfully, the opportunities that this is going to present are also not quantifiable. So I'm really excited that DOT, specifically the director and her team, have taken the lead on this and are starting off with a listening session. That's what's most important. So very grateful for this opportunity for our community. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Councilman Thomas.
Good evening, everyone. Councilman Torrance of the 7th District, not too far from here, actually about 6 blocks that way, but my communities are connected through the highway to nowhere. Also, in addition to that, I have family members who lost their homes because of it, right? So I recognize not only the generational change that we can occur here with this application, but recognize that we have a strategic partnership not only at the federal level with our congressmen and our state senator, our U.S. senators. It's an opportunity at the state level too to help us with generating change and synergy, right? Because we're all seeing two things. We want to reconnect communities, but with that reconnection, bring economic development as well as provide you access to healthcare and just meet people where they are. Because we know that when this happened, we were disconnected from a lot of investments. So it's time to bring it back. But I also, before I sit down, I want to acknowledge that my colleague, Councilman John Bullock is on line. It's been a long day. President Brown and I were just at Mount Down just less than an hour ago. We're moving, but also I want to recognize a good colleague of mine who always does a lot of good work here is Ray Conaway from Congressman Cummings' office. Not Cummings, Fuming's office. It's a long day, y'all. Forgive me. But I'm happy to be here, happy to be a thought partner and support this work from the city level as well.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Councilman Torrance. I appreciate that.
Councilman Bullock.
Councilman Bullock.
Councilman Bullock, yes. You have a minute, you want to?
Absolutely. I wish I could be there in person with you, but I would not miss this opportunity. As most of you know, the Highway to Nowhere cuts through a big portion of the 9th District, the Franklin and Mulberry corridor. We recognize that this is a huge injury to our community, but here's an opportunity for us to get it right and to work with our state, local and federal partners to have a brighter vision of what's possible in our community. So again, I appreciate everyone who's at the table. Thank you for the host and thank you for everyone who's here tonight and look forward to having a productive conversation.
Thank you so much, Councilman. I would now bring up our grant manager, Sydney Kimbrough, to really update us on where we are in the process. Sydney.
Want me the microphone?
You can see.
There are mics in the ceiling, so you don't need a microphone.
Thank you so very much. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Everyone can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I don't need a microphone today. My name is Sydney Kimbrough. I'm the grants manager for the Department of Transportation in Baltimore City. I will also be your point of contact for the Reconnected Communities grant and for this process, for the planning and design portion of the process. Before we get started with the listening session, I think it's very important for us to have a framing for why we're here for the listening session. The grant itself is a huge undertaking, and I want you all to have a really a real clear understanding about where we're going with the listening session and why the listening session is important for us. In the last part of the summer of last year, the DOT put out an application, put out an announcement. They want to have proposals put in for people, for the communities to come out and to give us proposals for highways like this. There are several projects like this across the country that exist. And so the Department of Transportation decided we were going to do a project for the Highway to Nowhere project, do an application. In the pre-application process, though, what DOT wanted us to do is to prove that we have a relationship with the community. This listening session is an opportunity for us to get out in the community and for us to listen to you all, but also to demonstrate to DOT that we actually have been working with the community, working with the stakeholders so that they can see that, hey, you really want to do a Reconnecting Communities grant in this community. Show us that you actually have a relationship with these people, that you're not going to come in and do exactly what's been done in the past, okay? So we requested a $2 million request from the federal government, and with matching funds from the mayor's office and several other partners, we put our application in. That went in the fall of last year. We're expecting, hopefully, to hear a response from that sometime in the next couple of weeks. I am very hopeful that this application will be successful for us. The very next portion of this process is for us to continue our engagement online. Sorry, people online who couldn't hear me. So the very next section.
Sure.
Okay, so the very next portion for us is for us to continue our listening portion, but to develop our stakeholder engagement groups from this process. What we want to do from this portion is to allow you an opportunity to tell us what's going on in the community, or tell us exactly what has happened with the Highway to Nowhere. Tell us exactly what the implications has been as far as the breakup of the Highway to Nowhere. Tell us exactly what has happened in your community. What would you like to see? What should be next? Once we get to that point, we can start developing our stakeholder engagement groups. The stakeholder engagement groups will be an opportunity for us to get together, for us to start designing what this project will look like in the future. What this program, the pilot program, and I call it a pilot program, is because the government understands that while they're putting this information out, they're putting the application out, they understand there are things about this, the community that they don't know. They understand that it's more than just a transportation program, that there will be other implications that will come out of this, because when you split a community up, there could be other implications. There'll be health implications. There'll be social and economic implications, and we want to know what that is. That's all information that we will get as we continue to pull out of our information or continue our relationship through the stakeholder engagement process. Our application is due, again, we're expecting to have an announcement sometime in the spring, which will be in the next couple of weeks. And from that portion is when we'll start the planning process again with the stakeholder engagement. Now, with the listening session itself, this is after we start identifying the funding and telling you how we start our process. We start identifying the funding, we develop our proposal, we've submitted the proposal. The application notification will come out next, and then we'll start the actual feasibility study, which is part of the stakeholder engagement process. That process is something that community members must be involved in. It's something that we cannot do on our own. We need you to be a part of this. We want you to be a part of this. You should be a part of this process. Again, as the director said earlier, we understand that this is a project that has been done several times. Many of you have heard this conversation many times before. As the director said to us earlier, this is not something we're going to start from scratch. We're going to use the information that we have from past projects and build upon that. That is specifically written in the application for us to do it exactly that way. The reason being is because, again, they understand that this has been a misstep over and over and over again. Our process is not to duplicate that. We're trying to correct it. That's why they're calling it the Reconnected Communities Program. But we also have to build relationships. This program is more about relationship building than anything else. It's going to require community members and partners, elected officials, and presidents from hospital community partners. Everyone's going to have to come in. Everyone's going to have to come to bring it. Even our refreshments tonight have been donated or have been given to us. We have to bring all of our partners in. So I say that to you all to understand that for those of you who are endeavoring to engage in the community process with the stakeholder engagement groups, one thing I want you to know, because you'll be working with me very closely in that process, I want you to understand that work will be required from you. I want you to come engaged, come ready with your best information, come ready with your best ideas so that we can plan for what is next. Next slide, please. The purpose of the listening session is for us to listen first. Now, we're opening this again as a framing. So from this point on, we'll go forward and you'll have an opportunity to get to us and talk to us about all the things that are on your mind. To learn what's next, as I said earlier, to discover what you envision for the project, to build and sustain partnerships that support you. These are the goals for us going forward. Oops. Sorry, delete that.
No worries.
Stalls.
It's all right. Thank you so much, Cindy. What are we here for tonight? The reality is, Cindy already talked about it. We are here first and foremost to listen, and also in listening, we want to hear what you've experienced in the past. We want to make sure that we are part of this as much as you guys are part of this. So listening for us will be important, but engaging for you guys would be even more critical. So how is this going to work? Again, we are in a small setting here, so I guess we can really get to talk to each other. We will ask you simple things. The first one, and of course, there will be a couple of mics going around. So if you can just show your hand, you will be given the opportunity to speak. We'll ask you a few things to say prior to putting your statement out. It's your name, if that's not too much. The community you represent, neighborhood you live in, the organization you represent. And then, of course, if you want to share experiences and your aspirations, that will be next. Everything that we say tonight, of course, is currently recorded. Everything that you will say also will be recorded. And part of what we're asking is really a little bit of courtesy in terms of respecting each other and making sure that once we have the mic, we don't spend more than 2 minutes really making our points. We will end up, if you're going to go to the next slide, thank you. We will end up collecting all of the comments, right? This is going to be part of us really making sure that we are moving forward with you in the process. Every single word tonight is going to be recorded. We have note takers around, along with, of course, the WebEx being recorded for everyone. So that's kind of the name of the game. There are also notes that are floating around that our friend Serena would be giving to each of you. And we will ask everybody to put your cell phone in either on mute or please silent mode. And I guess this is the time to get started. Question, of course, if you don't feel like speaking, we will make sure that you have the opportunity to put in writing part of your statement. I will be remiss, and I know Mr. Glenn has his hand up, but I'll probably be remiss if I didn't recognize one of the, literally one of the legends of Baltimore City, Glenn, whose quote actually has been part of our presentation. If we can get to the quote, here it is. So just want to make sure Mr. Smith is recognized here tonight. Please help me giving him a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Again, put your hand up if you like something to write on. We've got our folks here ready. And I am just going to open up the floor. So here it is. Who's gonna go first? I do have some highlights if you guys want me to start, but I've done my speaking. I would like to hear from the community. So again, if anybody wants to raise his hands or her hands, we'll bring the mic up to you.
One thing, can you, now even though the slide was briefly up there, can you speak to people that are online to tell them how they can get their comments in?
Yes, I'm sorry. Absolutely.
I just want to make sure everyone's online saw that.
Absolutely, and to my friends online, I apologize. The way this is going to be interactive is that we're going to take questions and comments, mainly, of course, from the floor. Alternatively, we'll get the floor to the people online via WebEx. And we have Micah interacting with the folks on WebEx. How would they ask to speak? How would they?
Sorry. So yeah, if you raise your hand on WebEx and we will request to unmute you, and then you can unmute yourself. And for the folks on the phone, if you press *6, then you can unmute yourself.
So thank you. So for the folks on the phone, *6 is the way to request to speak, and for the folks on the WebEx virtually, just raise your hand, and Micah will make sure that we get you connected. That's right, Micah? All right. Thank you so much. Again, I have talked a lot tonight, so let's get the conversation going.
Good evening, everyone. Minister Glenn Smith, and I am a survivor of the Highway to Nowhere. I'm also a member of the Reconnecting Communities in West Baltimore Coalition. And previously, we attempted to be a co-applicant on the pilot with DOT. We had Senator Hayes set up a meeting, and we wanted to be at the table. Listening sessions are good, charrettes are good, but I think the community needs to be at the table to let them know that what we really need to heal the community that was devastated by this project. Only the people who were affected by this devastating project can give an idea of how healing can occur. Because after 50 years, that monument still is there, that's seen every day by these people. So, the Reconnecting Communities in West Baltimore Coalition is trying to bring the neighborhoods around this highway to nowhere to make it be a place where, we can bring those communities back together again that were separated. Literally separated, that where those people that were taken out were extensions of the people that were left there. And we watched that community die. So we are convening some neighbors on Saturday. I have some flyers at the Fair Street Outreach, and we're going to try to, bring them together so that we can be a united voice. And we would like DOT to recognize us and give us some place where we can let you know what we want and how we feel that we can be a partner with DOT to make this happen.
Thank you so much for your comments, and your points are well taken. Thank you so much.
So if anybody wants a flyer for Saturday, we don't want DOT to come. This is for the neighbors. So,
Oh, thank you.
Wow. Look, we will come to you after we get the neighbors together.
I was just kidding. Thank you so much. We have this lady in the back. The lady in front.
Yeah, if I thought somebody was coming.
I'll get you.
Thank you. You'll have to listen well, because I'm not that better at good speaking. But one thing I wanted to share with the pastor, when he mentioned that I've been in this West Baltimore. Oh, I'm sorry, Thermal Terrell, West Baltimore, I'm a group co-chair. I can identify with him. I've been in West Baltimore all my life. And I literally cried when the highway to nowhere became a part of our history. I just wanted to share with you that when you talk about reconnecting, it is good to know from where you came and to where you're going. And it's so important that because you need to realize where and what went wrong that allowed this to transpire as it did. We're talking about something 50 years ago. You had a slide up there with what happened lost, was missing. Can you get back for me? And the reason why I wanted you to see how important that was, look how devastating it is. No one had the numbers on it. Up here. When you look at this, 15,000 residents displaced, 971 homes destroyed. These were homeowners. During that time, you had people, there were jobs, and the community was functioning. Back during that time, we had a lot of, our community members were a part of it, and we had a lot of different communities with different programs all through that area. We had youth, just name it, it was a thriving community. Other than them deciding, and I'm gonna give you a vocabulary, I'm not gonna hold you long, but I'm gonna give you a vocabulary, and I want you to follow this vocabulary as to why this even transpired. This is definitely a political issue when you look at its entirety and how it began, okay? Eminent domain is one of the main points. How many of you believe in that term, eminent domain? Okay, for those who don't know, it's when the government decides to come to an area and it's time for us to tear it down because Black folk are progressing too much for us. They're showing that they can be an independent group of people. And therefore, we got to put a stop to it. I saw, well, I put the bottom spot with Google. When I first started following this, the first thing that came up was that our highway to nowhere was invented to split the neighborhood up because Black folk were getting too independent. So we're gonna have to crash it, we're gonna have to take it away from them. I want you to be aware of that. I'm not stepping on anybody's toes, I'm just telling you a part of history and I experienced it. I seen how a gorgeous neighborhood just went to the dogs because it was a beautiful section in that area. It was really nice. It was really nice. And if you don't know what eminent domain is, you need to find out what it is. Because it's a primary way they can get to destroy your livelihood and your homes. I want you to put this vocabulary there. You have public domain, you have restoration, you have redlining. I'm gonna tell you about Red Line. Red Line was set up from World War II. I'm not gonna tell the whole show. But when the black soldiers were coming home, yeah, immediately set up stop sign. Them folks ain't coming back here, taking over. They were coming from down south. Baltimore was the closest city when you're coming from down south. So they had to put up some kind of a shield. So you look on your old maps, I don't see anything up here. But I mean, literally, the map itself was outlined in red. It was actually outlined in red. And whatever felt inside of that, they were told, no loans, no home improvement, just everything that this began to ruin the neighborhood. Then I said this, ghettos are made. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. All the businesses left the area, just everything you think of that might bring money back into our area. So I'm just saying, be very aware of your elected officials. When it's time to vote, people, get out there. Get out there. It's so important. And this year, 2024, y'all better do a lot of planning. Because I can see quite my French all hell get ready to break loose. You know it, and I know it. So now's the time to pay attention to what you're doing. But like I said, that eminent domain, respiration, and redistricting. Redistricting is another very important word. You know what redistricting means? You have a group of people, and you look over the map, and they find all where the best resources are. Then once they figure out where they can pull money from, politicians get together, and they start scheming. Well, this has section over here. Look what they got coming in. That section over there. And what happens? You go to vote, and they pull it from you. Why? Because some of us just sit there. Oh, that's a shame. You should have got up off your AWS and you should have went out there and voted. It's more important now than it's ever been, people. It's ever been. Like I said, times have changed. We have a chance to start all over again, but you need to know your history and you need to know how it comes about. So you now have an opportunity, and I know I'm feeling a little nervous here because I am, but you have an opportunity now to put a stop to it. Put a stop to it. Thank you. I saw you get up. Oh, sorry.
You guys to pick the mic back up, that's all.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Look, y'all need to put some stoppers on these chairs.
We have two comments from you.
Yes, can we hear them?
I have. One is from Ms. Cecilia Gonzalez. Can you define in more specific terms, what do you mean by, in quotes, having a relationship with the community?
Are you asking me or what?
No.
Oh, it's another. Because I'm ready to tell you. Let you have it.
All right. No. So as we referenced before, number one, with the application process, that is a part of the whole stakeholder work group. So we need representation from you. We need representation from you and all the other entities that are within the West Baltimore community that are representing a group. Okay, and so there's going to be a process to be able to apply and become a part of that group. The relationship, even us just getting to the point of submitting the grant, we were working on that relationship. Us being here is part of the relationship. And so with any relationship, there's going to be open, honest communication. There's going to be, needs to be transparency. You all need to be informed and know what's going on. We need to be listening to you all, understanding not only the history, but also what you see for the future. Because the reality is, I live in Baltimore, but I don't live in West Baltimore. We want to build up this neighborhood, this area for those that are living there, those who want to come back to the area, those that are still there. So this is a DOT endeavor to get this project going forward, but it truly is about your needs, your vision, and building up rebuilding the community. So I see it being intertwined. Yes, we took a step. It wasn't like with the grant, we're leading the effort, but this isn't something that we're doing independently. And I know, like it was referenced, that there's been some past efforts and people trying to do things and things didn't really happen the way that everyone envisioned it to be. Just so you understand myself, I'm kind of what you see is what you get. I'm transparent. I'm not going to say anything or mislead you or say anything that I'm not going to stand by. And so it didn't happen to me, but I know like my grandparents that have lived here in the city, my grandparents that have lived in West Baltimore, and they're living in areas now, but they lived in the community. And so it's still personal to an extent because I have a connection to it and I know what they've gone through just in their life in general. And so, I wouldn't be me, I wouldn't be human if I didn't feel for what happened to others. And so we're here because we care, we care and we want to make a difference. And so we want to do that with you all. Hopefully that answers the question.
Thank you, Director. I'm just going to add to this, to the same person, that part of it is also asking you what you think we can do better. So as a way of building community and also building trust along the way, if there are ideas that we are missing, please, this is the opportunity. Part of why we are here is really to listen. So building that chemistry among ourselves, meaning between us and you guys in the neighborhoods, in the new residents, and helping us to better develop that is part of the reason why we're here. Thank you.
I have a question to piggyback off of what was just asked. Oh, my name is Howard Hughes. I'm with Holland's Roundhouse. My question is, why, and no offense to our host, because the beautiful facilities you have here, but why isn't this meeting in the impacted area? And if you say, well, there wasn't no area, there wasn't anywhere to host it, that's the reason for the people being here, because you have affected the area with this project. So can that be answered?
Yes, Tarina, you can help answer the question, gentlemen.
Was it why the meeting was here?
Yes.
All the requirements.
Step up, please.
Hanging one in the back.
And introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Tarina Galloway. I'm the Chief of Engagement for Baltimore City DOT. The kickoff meeting, we wanted to stay neutral for.
Yeah.
We wanted to find out from you all where you want to meet in the community and not make that assumption and then again divide folks. That was one of the reasons. We also had to have by law an ADA accessible location. We have a lot of churches and other community spaces, but we wanted to be as neutral as possible for this kickoff until we had a chance to hear from you. So that's a big reason. We wanted to partner with a community partner, again, showing that we're trying to come together. We're not looking at this in a silo where it's just DOT. We're working with a lot of folks to try to make sure that we come together to have the right conversations with all the right people so that we can get this right. So that's a big portion of the reason we needed accessibility. We needed public transit access. And there were just some boxes that University of Maryland checked and had available to us. We are able to do this hybrid. Every location in the community isn't set up with the Wi-Fi needs, the capacity that we needed to do this online as well as in person, being mindful of a pandemic and still wanting to make sure people were safe. So that was the main reason this location was chosen. Again, this is just the kickoff. There are going to be many meetings moving forward, and we're going to try to hit every segment of the stretch of land that goes from MLK all the way over to the west. So there's going to be more, and they're going to be more community-based, but this was just for the kickoff. Does that help answer your question somewhat?
Somewhat, but you're DOT, you have all this information. Now, I know for a fact 4 places that have accessibility, technology, and everything else in the western district, and I don't have DOT on the back of my letterhead. So.
And that's why we're here. I want to get those 4 locations from you. I want to talk about what those locations are and reach out to those folks and see if they can host us for future meetings. So that's exactly what our intent is. Again, this is how we find that information out. If I don't meet you, if I don't talk to you, if you don't share that information, we don't necessarily always know. And we don't want to go somewhere that's going to cause more tension within the community. So we look to you all as we listen to figure out how we go about getting this right as we move forward with the process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karina. Yes, in the room, before we go back online, anyone wants to share some experience? Yes. If you could, yeah, you go.
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing?
Good evening.
My name is Janet Allen, and I'm with Heritage Crossing. We're on Franklin and Martin Luther King Boulevard. We're right across the street from the highway to nowhere. So I'm a Facebook blogger, if that's such a thing. I just made that up. I wrote something because I was reading something about the highway to nowhere yesterday. So this is what I wrote. Someone asked, will the harm from Baltimore's highway to nowhere ever be repaired? The question should be, will we stop harming the highway to nowhere communities? It's not like this is what happened 50 years ago doesn't impact us today. Just like the riots that we had with Freddie Gray in the rise of the 60s, they are all the same causation. We are still in what they call the colored waiting room, waiting for our communities not to be redlined, waiting for these structural racism policies to allow our community to be built. And I do have a dream and a vision that one day I'll be able to walk to a restaurant and sit down and eat, because we can't do that right now. And that's a present harm. Or the fact that because I live in my neighborhood, there may be 10 years shaved off my life. And the fact that no matter how hard we work to make a difference in this neighborhood, it seems like we can't get the cooperation of Baltimore City to help us to build a strong neighborhood, to help us build a sustainable neighborhood. But we keep getting broken promises, because when we moved into Heritage Crossing, they said, okay, this is your to start, and we're going to build all around you. No buildings. But if you go down to Boston Street, oh God, it's so beautiful down there. And we just have that same type of beauty in our neighborhoods, and that same type of ability to walk. I was so shocked. I said they had something called Bar Social. So they got a place where they can sit down, a restaurant for their dogs. We don't even have a restaurant for people in this area. So I'm glad that this meeting was held at a neutral place, and our community has been participating. I'm always participating in anything that's going to help the community grow, and I would like to continue to participate, because one day I hope that 21201 or 21217 will just be a mailing destination versus a life determination factor.
That's all right.
Thank you so much. Tiffany.
Yes, I have another question from WebEx, and it's from Suzanne. What has Baltimore City Department of Transportation been doing to contact those who were displaced by the highway to nowhere?
Good question.
Repeat that, please.
What has the Baltimore City Department of Transportation been doing to contact those who were displaced by the highway to nowhere?
I am not sure. We have an answer for the meeting tonight. We really want to hear from the community about where we're going moving forward, and if part of the conversation gets us to that, we will then answer the question. Tonight, we really want to hear versus answering questions of that nature. But the question is what I think.
The only thing I would just like to add is I'm open to hearing. Oh, my apologies. I'm so sorry. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. The only thing I would like to add is for those of you all that say have connections, know of families, know of people, entities where there are groups and you can get us and contact those people, please let us know. So again, this relationship is for everyone. So no, we don't know specifically who all those displaced families were, but if you all have the connections and can help us get in touch with them, please do so because we want them to be a part of this. Yes.
If I could give you some insight into that. Basically, the parents or the homeowners from that were displaced have more or less passed on, because those, if you would realize, those people were at least 30 years old, maybe 40 years old. So you're talking 50 years, so they're 90. Now their descendants, most of them are in their maybe 70s, or, you know, we had a group that were meeting once a month for lunch, and we started off with about 35. Now, about 3 years ago, that dwindled down to about 5 from people passing on. So we're not even meeting anymore. So, you know, my nieces and nephews now, they kind of still go down to the area. They call down the way now. So, you know, it's like there's still some people who reside there, but it's kind of scattered. But we need to bring that culture back. You know, we need to bring that essence of West Baltimore back. There's some healing that can still come back to West Baltimore, and we can recapture that. So that's what we need to do.
Well, thank you so much, Pastor Glenn. We would reach out as much as we can get some information about the former residents.
I just want to recognize Mr. Ron Cassie, who just did an article in the Baltimore Magazine about the Highway to Nowhere, a very concise article that really brought the essence of the Highway to Nowhere. I had people call me and tell me that when they read the article, it brought back so many memories. And he has some copies available if anybody wanted to get some. Did a little commercial for you there.
Thank you. Yeah, great article, of course. Thank you, Ron, for coming tonight.
We have 2 questions.
I was going to go online first.
That's okay.
Micah, you have anything for us?
So Carolyn Carey, if you'd like to speak.
Yes, this is Carolyn.
Hello.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Okay. I have a question. Basically, I'm kind of like about 78 years old, so I remember a lot of this stuff about the Highway to Nowhere. But it was basically supposed to be an expressway, and it was supposed to run Route 40 and then run 270. But the idea was to get the folk who lived in, I would call it like suburbia, and give them a way to get downtown, you know, an expressway to get downtown. And so my question basically is twofold. In your application, will the route be the same for the expressway, or will it change? The other part is there any connection with this application and the RAISE project that's going on right now, which is basically east-west? It's a priority east-west corridor, and it's more about the buses, but is there any connection between what you're trying to do and also with this RAISE project?
Thank you for your question, Colin. The first, I'm going to address the second part of your question, just to say that there is a physical connection between most of the projects on the west side. We can actually even start in the city with the rail train that was one with the Penn Station, all the way down to the rail train that we are working with, along with our partner, the MTA, to provide some improvement to the traffic, into the transit connection between the west side and the east side of town. So yes, clearly we will work in connection with those two ongoing projects. There's no way we can avoid that. We will build a better coordination between our agencies and the state agencies to make sure that, in fact, those projects that for some are already ongoing will be intertwined at some point as we're moving forward with this. To your first question, and I wish I had an answer, but we don't know what this is going to look like. That's why we're starting here. We actually want to know if you have ideas about what the whole thing is going to look like. None of us here might think of this as the repeat of a highway that was actually halfway baked. So clearly, we don't think that's going to be the case, but we started this process with a planning study that eventually, with the collective collaboration here, both at a local level, at the resident level, and of course with the technical folks, to reimagine this. This is the reinvention of the highway to nowhere. We just don't know what it's going to look like. We are encouraged by the fact that a lot of you guys tonight are here because you also want to think of what this could look like if it wasn't for the urban renewal. So this is the beginning. Let's do this together. I really don't think there is anyone with a magic answer to what this is going to look like at this point. We're going to start. Most of those projects start at this stage. We're going to listen. Together, we're going to build this. Together, we're going to envision this. Together, we're going to imagine this. And we're going to make it happen.
Theo, how many,
Tiffany.
how many studies are you looking at, or do you have that you said you guys are going to be using?
So many. 14 studies that have been undertaken in that whole segment.
Can you share that information with the community?
It's available.
Absolutely. Thank you, Molly. It is already available on the website. But we'll be more than happy to send you an email because I know your email. Because you know mine too. Let's do Tiffany first, and we're going back to you.
Yeah, one more person on the.
Yes.
We have a call-in number ending in 82, 410, and then ending in 82. And you can unmute your mic now. You just have to press *6 to unmute.
Are you there?
Oh, here it goes.
Oh, good evening. My name is Tim Bridges. I'm calling from Fair Street Outreach. Glad to hear Glenn Smith. Just wondering, for the listening folks, do you all have anybody that actually has any insight on the highway to nowhere? Working with you all, any consultants or anybody that's from the community that actually knows?
Is the question to us?
I can mute back. Yeah.
So we do not have anyone at this point working for us. Part of what we're going to do in the next stage is working to develop and create the stakeholder group. And that stakeholder group will be of people that do reside in the community and or do work in the community. And we will, because we are developing this technical scope, we will then hire consultants to work with us. We have no idea where they will come from. We really think we would like to hire a local facilitator to really make sure that all of the points are connected. But at this point, that's pretty much the plan. Once we get into the creation, the formation of the working group, we will get into some sort of specific criteria. But yes, we are open to, and we would love to have residents participating in this, even on a consultant basis. So if you have names, if you have companies, if you have people you know, if you work with some people, please send those names our way. Mr. Glenn, I don't know if we get you the
that sounds good. I think one of the things that a lot of people, and I think some of the people had mentioned earlier, is people have been down this road before. And so I guess my question is, so do we really try to engage people once you all find out if you've been awarded funding?
Yes, absolutely, yes. Unequivocally, yes. And please let us go our word. I mean, this is part of what we're trying to build. Is really understanding, and the director said it earlier, that what we say is really what we mean. We want this process to be all inclusive, including, of course, the people that live and all work in the area. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how many, I couldn't get on the web thing, but I don't know how many people you all have there, but the person from the Highlands Roundhouse made a great point that I was actually wondering when I saw the information myself, why it was not in the area where we have multiple schools, churches, handicap accessible, Wi-Fi. We have that stuff in Southwest Baltimore.
So Mr. Bridges, I'll just quickly speak to that. Hi, this is Tarana Galloway. Tiffany is also here with me. We did reach out to you, but I just want to let you know that we will follow up with you as we move forward. There are some questions that we wanted to talk to you about and try to get your input as we move forward as well. So we'll definitely be connecting with Fayette Street Outreach.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Tiffany, I'm also told that we have a lot of people online waiting to speak, so we're going to go to here and then we're going to go on.
Hello, my name is Arlene Fisher, and I've been a member of the Harlem Park community from infancy to now, so I'm not even gonna give you the years. I want you to understand I was also a person who worked with the Red Line when the Red Line started in 2004 at Perkins Church. With our first meeting was there, and we were involved in a lot of the development that did happen in the sense of the metro station and the other things, and bringing in the neighborhoods. You're talking about neighborhoods, at least from the metro station. You're talking about Franklin Square, Upton. You're talking about Poppleton, Harlem Park, Rosemont. There are a lot of neighborhoods. I want you to also realize that our community in West Baltimore is historical and is designated as historical. We've been working there. I wanted to show you one of our books. I only bought the one from Harlem Park and Lafayette Square, but we have the history of the area. Also, the number of churches that are in the area that we've been working with. I'm also a member of the Baltimore Heritage Historical Board, and they have worked with us when we were working with the Red Line. My concern is, I've been down this road before, and when you all first came up with this, he can tell you, I said, I ain't fooling with this mess, because I played for 14 years. We worked on the Red Line, and then somebody comes in and says, oh, no, we don't want it. And it was a chance for, you talk about listening section, it was a chance where we met at different parts of West Baltimore. Yeah. We came together, we talked, we shared. We have development corporations in West Baltimore. I want to let you know, we're not a poor little neighborhood that whatever. We have worked hard in our in West Baltimore. We have community development corporations. We're rehabbing houses in the area. We're encouraging people to move back to the area. We fixed up what you see on Franklin and Mulberry on both sides. That was us, this community, doing it. Our concern is with you all coming in, is this another road to nowhere? And, you know, the game was played before. I was younger when the game was played the first time. And what happened was they brought a lot of people who were homeowners on the Franklin Mulberry corridor, and they brought them in under the jest that they were going to do development around the neighborhood. And when they got finished with it, they ended up taking everybody's home. And you want to talk about devastation and tears and distrust. Because even when we started with the red line, we had to convince people that, because they kept saying they're coming again to get our houses. And that's the same thing they're going to be saying this time. They feel that you all are coming again to take our houses in the neighborhood. Well, I'm not going to worry about it because I'm strong enough to fight you all. And I think the rest of the people in the communities over there, we're strong enough. Because see, y'all don't even live here. Couple years, y'all be going back to the county or wherever. We'll still be here and we can deal with it. But if you're going to put something and you need to explain it to us. You need to tell us, well, what is your governing board? How much money do you have? How much money are you going for? Is any of that money going to be used in any of our neighborhoods to help us with housing development and help us fix up the streets in the neighborhood? We want to know that. I remember a big thing, you all came in with transit-oriented development. And I got some of your transit-oriented development on a couple blocks in Harlem Park when they did zoning. But when they left, they didn't do anything. So we want to know, and you've got to realize we're educated people and we're working people and we're concerned about all of West Baltimore, not just part of it. We're concerned about its historical West Baltimore. We want the respect. And we demand the respect, and we will participate. We'll share our knowledge with you if we think you're going to do something and you're not going to do another road. You have to understand the road, highway to nowhere is a phrase. It's just not a label. It's a phrase. And I can tell you in a meeting, people will stand up and say, oh, it's another road to nowhere or whatever, highway to nowhere. But it's something that we respect. We, even though it was there, we worked with it. We worked with what we got. We got money from it and we want to get more money. Are you all going to be bringing money so that our neighborhoods can build up houses? That's what I want to know if you want to get my involvement. But we have a lot of history. I just bought some of it. History about the different neighborhoods that are over there because most of your civil rights leaders came from West Baltimore and came and were involved in the area. So we have some history we'll share with you. I got a whole living room full of red line stuff that if you want, you can come and get it. So I just wanted to let you know we're here.
Ms. Fisher,
we will
thank
be
you.
watching.
Thank you so much. And Ms. Fisher, just so you know, I remember you too. Back in our red line days when I was at the since 15 years or more. So
that's nice.
We are in this together.
We were younger back in them days.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Maurice Good from 7 Brands in Uniform. I'm a business owner. And so I grew up in Mid-Emerson and the Franklin Square community. So I'm very much entrenched in West Baltimore. When I returned back to Baltimore after the Freddie Gray situation from where I lived in New York for 20 years, I went back to that neighborhood to figure out how I could give back. I now live in this community in Mount Vernon, but I travel that so-called highway to nowhere. I travel that several times a week, if not several times a day. So it has meaning. I know my position is very unpopular, but I'm going to tell you that people traveling from east to west to get to work, people traveling from west to east to get to work. Now in Southwest Baltimore, where you used to have Bon Secours Hospital, which is no longer Bon Secours Hospital. It's now Grace Medical Center, something. But the bottom line is that community now is lacking proper healthcare. So now think about if someone was to go into cardiac arrest, you either take the highway to nowhere to get to the University of Maryland, or you have to take the local streets. So when you say that it's not part of the plan to keep that infrastructure, then my question is, what's going to happen? Will the regular roadways be improved so that it be that replacement for that? Because right now, if you're talking about removing that roadway, but look at what we're dealing with right now. And again, I drive it several times a week, if not several times a day, going to meetings so that I can connect the community of Southwest Baltimore to the greater and larger part of Baltimore. So what is the plan? If you're going to take that away, then what's the replacement?
Thank you so much for your question and your insight, of course. Again, we are at the beginning of the planning process. Part of your questions would be answered when we get a little bit further. We think we are DOT, we breathe transportation, right? So we cannot we cannot come here and tell you that we will just shut down a connector between center of the city, the west side, and of course the east side too. This is clearly not going to happen. What it's going to look like, where it's going to be transit in there, whether it's still to be defined. So stick with us, because we also want to hear what you think should happen to make your connections better. But thank you. Yes, Micah.
We have a question online. Ms. Newbold, if you'd like to unmute.
Hi, my name is Moe Newbold. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, great. I am grateful to be listening to everyone's experiences and stories. I'm new to Baltimore. I've only been here for a couple of years, but I'm trying to learn as much as I can. And I'm wondering if there's a way for this process to formally include the grassroots community work that has already been done, that people have been referencing, because I know, like, in planning processes where I'm from, I've experienced the same thing where it's like people have been through these processes over and over again and given their input, and then nothing happens, and then it's kind of like erased and washed away, because every time the government comes up with a new way to address the situation, they start with a quote unquote like blank slate, and they can't include community input that's already happened because they're coming from this like position of neutrality, but it's not actually neutral, as we all know. So if there is a way to incorporate the work that has already been done and to meet people where they're at and actually hold the meetings in the community and like provide childcare and food if it's in the evening, I think that would be a good way to move forward.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you for your question and for your thought as well. To go back to the gentleman's question earlier, Grace Medical Center is part of LifeBridge, and the Baltimore Hospital you were referring to is being rebuilt. They acquired it and they're rebuilding it. So there will be services, healthcare services back there, exactly as it. And to your question, lady, of course, the goal here is for us to make sure that everything that has been done in the past, we've mentioned 14 previous studies, and we've also identified the people that we've already met with as we are moving forward with this. We do not want to start from scratch. We want to incorporate those earlier on, Sydney mentioned that there's going to be a formation of a working group. That working group will clearly include the folks that have already been getting themselves ready and that have already done some work along the way. We do not want to go by missing those earlier steps that were taken prior to us. And again, we have no plans, okay? I know it's hard to say that coming from the government, but we are no plans. Just trust us this time. We don't have a plan. So, thank you. Tarina.
That's what I want to add on. And to both of those questions, that's why the stakeholder engagement groups will be so important. The stakeholder engagement groups will be important because all of that information, whether the roads are closed or how the roads are redirected, and how the past studies that we've done, looking at all the information, bringing in grassroots information on things that have been done in the past around this project, all of that information will have to be analyzed. We'll have to look at that through the stakeholder engagement group, so that we're not starting anew. So that's why that process will be really important. So people who want to be involved in that, it's very important for you to be focused around that because we will be digging through all of that information.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tarina. We'll get to you in a minute. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Kieran Smith, and I recognize a number of faces here from the community side, but also my DOT colleagues, because I'm a former DOT employee. I just wanted to first acknowledge the work that has been done by various community leaders over the years, going back to when I first got involved in 2006. And at that time, I had no children. I have 3 now, and they're here. So the comment about childcare, I think, is apropos. And just by a show of hands, how many people do we have in the room under the age of 40? Awesome. Keep your hand up if you are not affiliated with DOT. Okay, less people, right? So when we talk about community engagement, when I started with this, and I see Ms. Fisher, I know Mr. Smith, and I see Scott, and I see a lot of folks, I was 24 years old. 24 years old and just moved to Baltimore. And now I have children. I'm no longer in my 20s. I'm over the 40 hump. And so recognizing that time is of the essence, and I think that comment was made earlier, we are in a very unique moment. And so my challenge is to the city as well as to the community, and I'm not here representing anyone other than myself, is that we need to be efficient and we need to think about being inclusive because the people who are likely to benefit from this project are not in this room. They're not in this room. They're at home with children. They're working 2 and 3 jobs. They are managing their families. They're caring for aging parents. So we need to be mindful of who we are doing this work for, as much as we want to see it in our lifetime. And I'm hopeful that I'll still be able to do that. I've made Baltimore my home. I'm raising my family here. But we really don't want to reinvent the wheel. Those 14 years of work, what I would want to know is, what are the unanswered questions at this point? Let's start from that point. Let's not rehash, as much as I'm very much a history buff, and it's very important that we educate our children, which is why I brought my children here, but we don't have a whole lot of time. So we need to know from the city, what are those unanswered questions that we can help you address so that we can be effective in mobilizing our various communities? And so I don't know if you have an answer to that today, but to convey that to us, what are those unanswered questions explicitly so we can dive right in and roll our sleeves up? Thank you.
And thank you, of course, to the team from your videos. I know it's showing. But I would love to have an answer. The reality is we are building the process so that at the end of the process, the answers are actually naturally flowing. So part of what I'm saying is clearly we want a more inclusive process as we making decisions. When we get the money, meaning if we are awarded the grant and we start working, if you look at the budget that we put together as part of the application, there is clearly going to be, as part of the budget, some dollars allocated to public participation. Those are things that we believe are extremely important to make the best out of us participating. And by us, I mean us and you guys. So we will work on this together in the sense that, again, once we are awarded, the work really starts there. We are building, even internally, a group of city agencies that are not just going to be DOT, because that's also important for everybody here to understand that this is a collective effort in part of the city too. It's not just DOT. So we are here, but we are representing a whole slew of other agencies that are going to be extremely involved. So to your question, clearly, when we are awarded, we will come back, we will work, we will create a working group, and within our budget, there will be money set aside for public participation. Yes, Tiffany. We have 10 more minutes, so we're going to get one question and then you good online? Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Sonia Iggy, and I live in the neighborhood of Poppleton, where I am president. I wanted to just touch on two things. And one, the young lady, I don't remember your name, that started off with the eminent domain and how they use eminent domain in our neighborhoods and how they took from our Black neighborhoods. And so when you talked about learning from the past, the city did the same thing with our community of Poppleton with eminent domain. And we're still fighting. And what I just hear the young lady here saying, the people that's going to profit from this are not in the room. The people that's going to profit from this is not in the room. It's Black people or people from a different economic background. And so, because what they're bringing is not for the people who were displaced from the community. What's being taken, what's being stolen from us, and has been erased from us is not what's being replaced for us. And so my ask is, I'm tired of coming to these city meetings when it comes to redevelopment in our neighborhoods, having these town hall meetings. And then when we leave the meetings, y'all continue to do what you're going to do anyway. It's just like you're doing your due diligence to say, oh yeah, to show the people you're going after the money for. We've done our work. We met with the community. We've heard the community voices, but then when it's being implemented, our voices are left out of the equation. So I'm here to say that y'all invited us out here and make sure that y'all keep in contact. Any information that we need to give forward, let us know. We keep being treated as if we are ignorant, just dumb, don't know nothing, and so we need that respect. We're the ones that live here. We are the legacy people who have lived here. I'm third generation to Poppleton. I live directly across the street from the highway, 50 feet from the highway. Been raised in that neighborhood. My dad's still there. He bought his house in 1969 in the 300 block of Curry Street. The 400 block of Curry Street is the highway. I'm in the 300 block of North Carlton Avenue. The 400 block of North Carlton Avenue is the highway. So it is still affecting us. And with the development that's going on in my neighborhood, this is something that I'm seeing now. There's an opportunity now and again for the people who don't look like us, and it's not going to profit from us because of all of the development that's going around us downtown in Poppleton with the new apartments, luxury apartments that people who lived here for years can't afford them, and so making this highway or whatever's going to go there for those new public people that they're trying to bring in. So for the eminent domain, there was a private take for public use, and now it's been changed to a private take for a public purpose. So any public purpose that they want to use, they can come in and still take your property. So this is something that I'm standing for and fighting for, that the city stop using eminent domain to take out properties, to take out possession. And so this, not using this highway to extend that take. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your comments, and we want to make sure that as we close tonight, that you guys know how to find us and where to find us. They are the main key information elements on the screen. But I also again want to reiterate the fact that tonight is the beginning, not the end. So we are not coming here with a plan. We're coming here with the sole intent to build a coalition in order for us to together look at the future of this west part of the city. So I want to thank you everyone here, thank you the folks online for this evening. This is again just the beginning, so please stay tuned. If you have any kind of questions or concerns, comments, things that you think we did tonight, please let us know. We have a huge team here to assist you in the process. And again, please trust me, we'll build this together. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.